Welcome back to Botcast. We are here with Priyank Jammar, AI practitioner and delivery leader with 26 years of experience. Priyank, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Mansa. Thank you so much. And quick touch on me. I have 26 plus years of experience in consulting, practice, management, and global delivery. I have experience managing large portfolios with P&L and account growth ownership. I have led multiple transitions and transformation programs. I have built practices, cohesive teams, innovation labs, business offerings, and multiple solutions in the AIML and IoT space. I work across full life cycle of delivery, practice and consulting and well understand end-to-end paradigm. And of course, I'm very much enthusiastic about the AIML, which we'll be further discussing in this podcast. Thank you, Mansa.
Excellent, Priyank. Now, turning into the intersection of Gen AI and retail sector, how do you see Gen AI influencing and impacting retail landscape?
Mansa, it's a very interesting question. And we have seen that every 10, 15 years, a new platform resets the tech industry. Generative AI will reset it pretty much like GUI, e commerce, and mobile transformations. The way they change the entire way the business used to work. We have seen how much effective generative AI can be. Example, ChatGPT effectiveness at conversing, answering questions, and summarizing information in a natural, engaging, and relevant way. It's easy to see how this could be extended to retail customer support. For example, responding to queries in multiple languages, explaining products and services, offering product recommendations, compare the products, recommend product substitutes, image based product search, checking the stock availability, answering queries related to orders, returns, and refunds, personalized marketing campaigns, creative ads, and much more. Just think every role in every retailer has the potential to be reinvented. It will become new norm where every role will work with AI-led assistants in one form or another. Very soon, the generative AI capabilities will be a baseline requirement for any retailer that wants to keep pace with its peers. Let's talk about some of the leading brands that are already pushing ahead with AI backed digital experience. For example, Amazon is using generative AI to help Amazon sellers, write product descriptions, summarize customer reviews, and create more engaging ads. Shopify has similar use cases in line to Amazon, but with one very interesting additional thing that it can write product descriptions in multi languages. eBay's ShopBot acts as a personal shopping assistant to discover attractive deals, product search, and tailored suggestions using text, voice, and photo features. Messi, Starbucks, they are personalizing the customer experience by answering questions on product details, availability, location, and product recommendations. If I may take one non retailer example, just to emphasize the way generative AI is revolutionizing the industries and how many such ideas can be cross leveraged in different form and fashion. For example, Khan Academy, they have pioneered in creating content using generative AI. They developed Khanmigo, which is an AI powered guide and acts as a tutor for learners and assistant for teachers. Now think about it. The same functionality can be used by retailers to create training content for their DIY customers, for their employees, partners, and vendors. Another very interesting area is to develop new products and new visual merchandising designs and formats using generative AI. Imagine a scenario where generative AI can generate potential product designs based on customer reviews, past sales data, what customer likes, what customer not like, fast moving items, slow moving items, and even social media sentiment. So generative AI can fine tune existing designs and can even customize products based on individual preferences. It can help small retail brands create quick design iterations and put new products on the shelves in record time, much like the best in class fashion retailers, which otherwise would not have been possible so easily. Retail has always been a playground for emerging technologies, constantly evolving with new innovations. Now, with generative AI, retail is again in the front bench for impact and disruption, where AI can create, adapt, and provide solutions that are game changing for both retailers and consumers. Generative AI's ability to crunch vast amounts of data and provide insights in real time is taking it to a whole new level. This is becoming even more important as retailers always wanted to bring together all the disparate insights, 360-degree insights of their customers in a coherent way. Said easy but difficult done, generative AI will be the key that unlock that vision which is long talked about but hardly realized yet. Generative AI will enable hyper personalized retail suggestions to each customer in each moment. One of the things generative AI excels at is summarizing insights from a wide variety of unstructured data sources. We are not talking about GBs, we are talking about terabytes now. This make it ideally suited to tasks like customer reviews, surveys, inventory management, stock queries, spend analytics, and much more. Generative AI can help detect patterns and trends. It can discover them, what has not been discovered so far, and enable the retailers to better understand the customer needs, personalize interactions, minimize stockouts, reduce excess inventory, and improve operational efficiency, just to name a few. Generative AI will transform stores as well, physical stores. In recent years, retailers have been focused on blending physical and digital experiences in their stores. This is another area that generative AI promises to radically enhance. Take merchandising. By analyzing product attributes, historical sales, and customer preferences, generative AI will be able to suggest optimized store layouts and product placements, as well as provide enhanced, personalized, wayfinding experiences to shoppers. Imagine a generative AI based app assistant that guides you around your local store, proactively recommends products relevant to your unique preferences and needs, track orders, and provide the customer support 24 by 7 and very specific to you. Generative AI can help with virtual try ons to produce extraordinary lifelike images on demand from anywhere at any time. Apparel and beauty retailers will be able to provide magic mirror experiences that show how different products, styles, and colors would fit a customer, and even predicting how that fit would change over time using an image generation capability or a generative AI fusion with AI, AR, VR technologies. Foundation models of generative AI will advance digital transformation within the enterprise by improving workforce productivity, enhancing customer experience, and enabling cost effective creation of new products and services. So, absolutely, there's a lot like which will be happening in the retail space, Mansa.
Quite compelling example, Priyank, and the transformative power of Gen AI in enhancing customer experience is definitely evident. Now, moving on to strategy, maximizing business impact with Gen AI. What strategic approaches do you recommend for retailers, especially looking to harness the full potential of Gen AI?
This is interesting. It's complicated because this is one of those technology which is constantly changing and continuously evolving. But let's talk about it. The consumer behavior is constantly changing, and so the retail industry, right? The retailers in this competitive industry always face new challenges. Retailers are undergoing transformation innovation as never happened before, and there are multiple ways to answer it. The question which you asked, but let's discuss some of the retail functional areas where generative AI will revolutionize and how. Customer experience involves not only application design and centralized data, it's not just the design and centralized data, but also the interactions and experiences throughout the buying and after sales journey. Now, what will be very interesting will be that unlike boomers, Gen Z and Alpha are least likely to interact in a store. If they're least likely to interact in store, then what will happen? This makes it even more critical to create a self-service, high experiential, and immersive experience that can keep them engaged and provide personalized support because they are not very keen to interact. So, which means there has to be alternate way to support them. Majority of customer interactions will be handled without a human agent in the future, and we are talking about a near future. Generative AI is transforming by bringing life to channels, where channels will interact with customers as their AI led personal assistant throughout the buying journey and customer support. That is from product search to finding right product based on personal preferences, tracking the order, and after sales support. So, practically, this will enhance customer experience and efficiency while reducing the operational cost. Generative AI will hyper personalize experiences across different channels. For example, e commerce, mobile, store, and even the mediums. For example, the different interaction mediums, example, email, SMS, geofencing tactics, etc.
Multimodal, omnichannel.
Absolutely. So, omni-channel and the mediums, and can gauge customer sentiments, seek feedback, and continuously improvise at real time. It's a matter of time when generative AI will become the most favorite brand salesperson, not a technology, but a salesperson, most favorite brand salesperson of customer that is hyper personalized and dedicated to the individual customer and will be available to chat, talk, guide, and assist anytime from anywhere.
Customer support has become the focal point of discussion.
Absolutely. And if you see it in a way, right, where it will be so personalized that it will dispose of like, any irrelevant marketing, any irrelevant reaching out to the customer, or it will improve like, the entire customer journey and the conversions. Because end of the day, like, that is what businesses want. Higher conversions, higher engagement, higher loyalty. Isn't this is so exciting, which will make the entire experience to a different level when the AI becomes your brand salesperson available 24 by 7? Do you think that like any customer can ever leave such a brand and a magical experience? And that will be the power and the transformation capability of the generative AI in near future. Another example is employee experience. So far we talked about the customer, but what about the employee, which is often the most neglected one and directly impacts customer experience and the ability of employees to better serve the customers. It's impossible for any employee to go through bulky handbooks and remember everything about every product and services in the store or in the e-commerce channels all the time, especially for large retailers. It's impossible that like any employee will remember all the items which are available in the Walmart, Amazon, Target, or for that matter any stores of those sizes, right? Even for that matter, even of the medium sizes or even the small stores, it's not possible. At times employees struggle to coordinate between storefront, back store in the storage, and at times with other stores and warehouses to check stock availability, product substitutes, and ultimately what happens, it results in the poor customer experience besides the loss of sales. And it also impacts the enthusiasm and efficiency of employee. Imagine a generative AI helping the employees improve the collaboration and creativity and serve as an AI assistant to help employees with product lookups, stock availability, and just-in-time training, which will boost employees' confidence and make them look smart in front of customers. In fact, in a recent survey, it was found that 92% of employees prefer having the technology to assist in their job efficiently, which affects their work satisfaction and performance and outcome for better. Now, let's talk about the marketing function. So, we talked about the customer, we talked about the employees. Now, let's talk about the marketing function, where there are so many siloed and ineffective infrastructure. So, we talked about the medium, right? Emails, SMS, geofencing, they all are the siloed and ineffective infrastructure if not integrated properly. Now, when we say integrated properly, what does it mean? There are so many separate channels, and it's not uncommon for customer data to become siloed very easily, very quickly. If all the moving parts of a marketing department are not communicating effectively and working together, customers can become overwhelmed with conflicting of or repeat messages because they will not be able to personalize it. They will not really understand you. They will treat you differently when you come in one channel, in one medium, compared to the other channel and the other medium, and customer will get confused and at times get frustrated like with those kind of brands. The another important aspect is that while the amount of data gathered by businesses from different channels, from different mediums, from the social media, from everywhere keeps growing at an alarming rate, the number of staff available to analyze that data is still staying more or less the same. In fact, some companies are optimizing it. This means finding a technology solution which can handle the huge amount of data being generated and ensure it is focused on a direction which best benefits rather than overwhelms the marketing efforts. So, generative AI will transform retail marketing by redefining content creation and personalization. And retailers can now harness AI to generate captivating content, ensuring a consistent flow of engaging materials across platforms. The technology's ability to analyze customer data has enabled the creation of tailored marketing campaigns and boosting customer conversions. Moreover, generative AI trend analysis empower retailers to stay ahead of emerging market trends, driving more effective and strategic marketing efforts. So, to conclude it, generative AI can do wonders to improve enterprise efficiency and cost reductions. Generative AI can bring high collaboration, transparency, and real time visibility into entire supply chain from procurement, production, and distribution to POS and customer deliveries and returns and customer support. It can navigate both customers and employees through the process and workflows across the channels. Generative AI can also help improvise the entire value chain and even the product design and quality based on customer real time feedbacks, returns and refunds, product demand, customer service, and overall sentiment analysis. So at enterprise level, generative AI can help in summarizing and FAQs from contracts and other legal documents, drafting the new contracts, financial audits, detect patterns and anomalies, automate the HR functions, enable conversational AI to access HR policies and FAQs, enterprise workflow automations, monitor and alert on infrastructure and security, enable the entire recruitment process, automate resumes shortlisting, create the job postings, track compliances, governance, and KPIs, and create management dashboards and much more. So there'll be a lot, Mansa, which will be happening in the coming days.
Absolutely true, Priyank. And the use cases that you have mentioned are quite wide, and there's a long list of array of use cases that gonna be, added to the list. In fact, and challenges are a part of the game, followed by it. Now, can you share a significant challenge you encountered in implementing generative AI and how it was addressed or overcome? Like that could be in personal or industry challenge that made you go, "Wow, I didn't see that coming."
Sure, Mansa. So, if you recollect, right, when the first time, the flying machine was made, or first time, the spacecrafts were made, or first time anything was built, including even the Windows 98, everybody remembers, how it crashed. But now you see, everything is so much smooth, much more safer, much more better. And the same is true even for the new technology like generative AI. It brings infinite possibilities and opportunities. We are only at the start of the generative AI revolution, and the technology is advancing incredibly fast. As you correctly said, while the potential of generative AI in retail is promising, but at the same time, it's important to acknowledge potential challenges and ethical considerations. It's important to ensure AI is used responsibly. This means setting guardrails for acquiring, refining, and deploying data. It also means thinking through issues related to regulatory and privacy, copyright and legal, accuracy of information and authenticity of information, and other possible risk of explainability, that is explaining the outcome from the generative AI, fairness, biasness, and avoiding the hallucinations. Cybersecurity will be another critical aspect to be implemented right from design. It's critical to make certain the technology is responsible by design. Unlike many other technologies, the skills development and availability is not very challenging in case of generative AI. It's not like many of the other technologies where skills has been remarkably different. It's not the case for the generative AI. There are many commercial and open source frameworks readily available, and one need to focus more on the model, workflow, and governance design implementation unless one plans to build their own LLMs from scratch, which can be very tricky. The data strategy and choice of LLMs are the most critical decisions. I will re-emphasize that the data strategy and choice of LLM. These are the two most important critical decisions in this journey. Companies can reduce their risk by taking a domain specific approach to LLMs and using their own governed data. My advice from my experience will be to start small, have your first few projects address and improve immediate challenges in the business. The transformative projects should wait until the generative AI practice and implementation matures in your organization. It's very important to demystify AI, remove technology jargons going all over social media, especially LinkedIn, and focus on solving real business problems and achieve use cases that has tangible outcomes. Learn lessons and then go for complex and transformational use cases once you gain experience and the model framework base is ready. Generative AI, unlike many other technologies, demands a good set of data. Garbage in, garbage out. Keep human in loop before releasing anything created by generative AI to have human review and approval. Consider generative AI as AI-led smart assistant and then gradually increase automation. Striking the right balance between automation and human touch with a proper governance in place will be crucial to maintain a genuine and trustworthy experience for all.
I think overcoming challenges is indeed a learning process now. As you have highlighted the importance of data strategy, can you elaborate on a specific instance where a well crafted data strategy played a pivotal role in successful Gen AI implementation?
Absolutely. Almost all the certain, I can say that it's true for every single project that happens in the AI/ML space, whether it is data science or whether it is a generative AI. Generative AI and data strategy are intertwined. Simple. They are intertwined. And that's true for any kind of AI project. Data strategy is very critical as the model learns from data. We are not teaching model how to perform, how to give the outcome. It's self-learning, from the data. Generative AI models based on deep learning request large amounts of high-quality training data. The data used to train model directly influences its ability to generate accuracy, quality, and meaningful outputs. A well-designed data strategy is essential for the successful development, deployment, and maintenance of the generative AI systems. It ensures that data is collected, processed, and utilized effectively and ethically to achieve business objectives while minimizing risk and maximizing benefits. So, what exactly I mean by data strategy here is a plan that outlines how an organization collects, processes, manages, stores, analyzes, and utilizes the data to achieve its business goals. A well defined data strategy is crucial for minimizing the risk and maximizing the value of data while ensuring that it aligns with an organizational objectives. The key components of data strategy include data collection, data quality, data storage, data analytics, data governance, and very importantly, data security. In today's digital economy, data is being generated at an exponential rate by individuals, various channels, platforms, and array of devices. However, despite the vast amounts of data available, there are a lot of silos which still exist, impacting the consolidation of data points to derive meaningful insights. If you cannot combine them, if the data cannot come together, they will always remain a silo, and that silo will always create a non-meaningful outcomes. So it's very important that data strategy is defined properly. Decision-making AI models, while processing substantial data sets, often lack transparency in their operations. They produce results in the form of analysis, reports, or recommendations, which can lead to trust issues and raise concerns about the system's credibility, especially considering the existing challenges related to incomplete, poorly sourced, inaccurate, or biased data sets. So, generative AI model benefits from diverse data sets that cover a wide range of scenarios, contexts, and variations. A well defined data strategy ensures that the training data represents the full spectrum of inputs that the model may encounter in real world applications. Without a careful data strategy, there is risk of introducing biasness into the generative model, whereby wrong outcomes and possibly a very negative impact to the brand and the business. Biased training data can result in biased outputs, which may have ethical implications, possibly even legal implications, and could impact the model's performance in diverse settings. Generative AI models may be trained on sensitive or proprietary data. A data strategy should address privacy concerns, ensuring that data is handled in compliance with relevant regulations and that sensitive information is protected. A data strategy should align with the overall business goals and objectives. It should ensure that the generative AI implementation is focused on addressing specific business challenges and delivering value to the organization. 40% of companies, based on the Gartner survey recently, have domain specific LLM driven workflows in pilot or production to avoid biasness, to avoid hallucinations, and to avoid multiple other challenges that comes in the generic LLMs. Gartner says that more than 80% of enterprises will have used generative AI APIs or deployed generative AI enabled applications by 2026. More than 80%.
Absolutely. Balancing the public and private aspects of Gen AI is crucial decision for businesses. From your perspective, what factors should organizations consider when choosing between public and private Gen AI models?
Very good question. So it's important to establish the right foundation of AI success. There are multiple choices and approaches for using LLMs. One can build LLM from scratch. I will not do that. Or use existing giant LLMs. Example ChatGPT, which are generic, very giant, humongous, or use small domain specific LLMs which are super fast, low computing power, and gives better results, better outcomes. The additional choices are to fine tune the existing LLM or enrich LLM prompts. In addition, they are evolving LLM functions in non LLM tools, examples Salesforce, Einstein, SAP Joule, or even Google Copilot for that matter, which are gaining popularity. Let's first talk about the giant models, the generic ones, giant models. Generalized AI models have demonstrated impressive capabilities. Example ChatGPT, everybody has seen that in generating text across a wide range of topics, but they often lack the necessary depth and nuance required for the specific domains. The generalized giant models have conflicting terminologies and interpretations, thereby causing inherent hallucinations and biasness because of large publicly available data which is not validated and tuned for a specific purpose. For example, in the retail domain, client often refers the term shrinkage as losses due to theft, damage, or errors in inventory. But depending on the other context, shrinkage can mean reducing the workforce in the organization. Shrinkage can mean contraction in size of fabrics in the other industries or commodity weight loss during storage in the commodity industry. So at times the same terminology, for example, what we saw for the shrinkage terminology, the same terminology interpretation can be misleading if a proper context is not set. Whether we are talking about the retail, whether we are talking about the commodities, whether we are talking about the some other context, whether we are talking about the workforce. So the meaning of the same terminology can completely change. And that's where the giant models might not be appropriate as much as to the domain specific LLMs, which we'll shortly talk about. It's challenging and expensive to fine tune giant models like ChatGPT, BART, Hugging Face, Bloom, and Orca, etc., which requires large set of examples for fine tuning covering different scenarios in a way to avoid hallucination and biasness. Besides the need for highly expensive computational resources because they are huge and it takes a huge amount of data to fine tune them, and still you might not be able to fine tune them. So it can become very complicated and laborious effort and might take multiple iterations for giant models to adjust weights, typically via an optimization algorithm like gradient descent to fix the errors or differences between its predictions and the actual labels. As we look toward the future, it is becoming increasingly clear that the path to true generative AI success for enterprises lies in the development of domain specific language models. So, domain LLMs. What are domain LLMs? So, domain specific LLMs are designed to capture the essence of a specific industry with an understanding of its unique jargon, context, and intricacies. The role of domain specific LLMs extend beyond text or response generation. They serve as intelligent orchestration layers, managing tasks and processes within their respective domains. These models leverage domain specific data and knowledge, ensuring that the generated output aligns with the standards, requirements, and compliance of the industry in the question. Moving to more personalization will require less prompting. Prompting is not the solution for the businesses. Might be in a short term, but definitely not in long term. Most adapters will choose small and nimble domain specific models which are targeted and customized, more efficient, accurate, and relevant, avoid hallucinations, reduce the biasness, and need much lower computing resources. Private LLMs can also avoid issues related to data privacy, copyright, hallucinations, and legal concerns. The result of a recent survey on LLMs by Forbes revealed that nearly 40% of surveyed enterprises are already considering building enterprise specific language models. Some of the smaller and compact LLM models, which can better match for business needs, are recently launched by Microsoft 5 1.5, which has 1.3 billion parameters, which is based on that, and Stable Diffusion, which is based on the 2.3 billion parameters. Star Coder, Mistral was recently launched and has been in the news for pretty good way, for the 7 billion parameters base. Alpaca, Vicuna, Llama 2, very high performing, with two models of 7 billion parameters and the 13 billion parameters, etc., which are focused on very specific industry use cases. And that's why their outcomes are incredibly better than many of the giant models, including the ChatGPT. They solve the issues related to a specific domain, domain adaptation, private data integration, security, flexibility, accuracy, interoperability, explainability, and cost effectiveness comes as a part of the package of these domain specific small LLMs. Every enterprise should choose approach based on their own maturity. It's not that what is good for one will be good for another. No, the approach should be chosen based on your own maturity, business requirements, and the business specific compliances and the risk. Enterprises should consider starting with RAG and then adding fine tuning as the team gains expertise. Keep human in loop for model feedbacks and governance. Take a modular approach. Start with one small and low impact project. Do few small projects before investing into larger transformational projects. And to gain competitive advantage, innovative companies are starting to embed models into proprietary workflows, into the business workflows, to accelerate and enrich business functions from customer service to customer and employees experiences, value chain insights, and everywhere across the enterprise workflows.
Valuable insights, Priyank. It's definitely akin to navigating the complexities of choosing the right tool for the job. Now, looking ahead in this year, but 2024, what trends and investments do you foresee in the evolving landscape of Gen AI for retailers?
Generative AI has become the bedrock of modern retail and one of the most prominent retail technology trends. From predicting customer preferences to optimizing supply chains, it empowers retailers to make data driven decisions. In fact, it is taking personalization to completely new heights by creating tailor made content, product recommendations, and enhancing the shopping experience with personalized AI led assistant 24 by 7. Imagine you will never talk to salespeople at some point in the future, and AI will be your best salesperson. Of course, you can still talk to salesperson, but this will be your very personalized salesperson which will understand your different aspects. Doesn't matter whether it's a grocery, whether it's a food habits, whether it's a clothing habits, or whether it's your travel, whether it's any kind of the shopping, and it can customize it, very personalize it, very specific to you, and this agent will work on behalf of you and not really on behalf of the company. So this agent will work on behalf of you. That will be so cool. And according to Gartner's 2023 hype cycle for emerging technologies, generative AI is at the peak of inflated expectations. It is expected to reach plateau of productivity within next 2 to 5 years, which means that it's expected to have a transformational benefit and a greater ROI within next 2 to 5 years, contrary to many other technologies which will have transformation benefits in another 5 to 10 years or more. Many industry experts believe that generative AI has already crossed peak of inflated expectations and has started achieving benefits in certain segments, like we talked about Khan Academy, we talked about Amazon and other companies, and we'll see a lot of transformations within the next 1 2 years, which has already started happening and has already started giving outcomes. Generative AI is one of those technologies which is real, proven, has been in existence for many years now. And we will see many successful outcomes with higher ROI and differential experience in 2024. It is not good to have, but must to have technology for cost reduction, improving user experience, and enhancing creativity, collaboration, and productivity. To establish the right foundation for AI success, enterprise need to carefully decide upon choice of LLM, data strategy, and prioritize use cases. Start with few small use cases, then move to complex. Many retailers have already started this journey, and I'm expecting a lot more to follow this path soon. The most popular use cases so far have been around more of a content creation for marketing products and knowledge base, even for the service request knowledge bases, customer service, feedback and sentiment analysis, collaboration, new designs, creativity, back-end operations automation for both applications and infrastructure, and many more as evolving as adaptability and maturity in this space is increasing. There will be more private, small and nimble, and domain specific LLMs next year. We'll see sharp increase in generative AI diffusion models to generate data like data for application testing and what if analysis. Shadow generative AI will rise to complement and boost employees' productivity at both business and technology fronts. So, responsible generative AI, including data privacy, protection, and regulations, will remain critical topics for next year. And we'll see a lot of progress in terms of policies, framework, guardrails, and governance that will take a priority stage in 2024. We'll also see, interestingly, a lot of new use cases emerging with fusion of generative AI technology. For example, generative AI and AR VR fusion for immersive conversational experience and to create engaging brand experience. Generative AI fusion with IoT technology for patterns and anomalies detection. Generative AI working with custom vision to work with visuals and gain insights. Generative AI and blockchain for secure data and transactions. Generative AI in robotics to enable more intelligent and adaptive robotic systems, and much more. So 2024 will be a year of focusing on just how generative AI will shape the large enterprises ecosphere. I'm excited for the transformation and value it will bring to enterprises in coming years, and it will certainly open the door for a lot of new transformation creativities which we have not seen so far.
Exciting prospects and exciting times ahead, Priyank. Thank you for your valuable insights. Thank you for being on podcast.
Thank you, Mansa. Thank you for having me on the show, and hope our conversation has sparked the curiosity and insight for your listeners. And we'll be looking forward to how generative AI benefits the business and people. Good luck for exploring the limitless possibilities with generative AI. Thank you, Mansa. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you once again. Stay tuned, everyone, for more insightful conversations on podcast. Until next time, this is Mansa signing off.